442, we continue our coverage of the school shooting in Uvalde that has left at least 19 children dead. Some of the shooting victims were taken to Memorial Hospital in Uvalde.
And Stephanie Jimenez has been following the situation from there and has the latest.
It is dark and quiet across the street from Uvalde Memorial Hospital. You could say it's sort of symbolic of the mood here in Uvalde this morning. So many people waking up to this harsh reality that 19 children were killed yesterday on their third to last day, what was supposed to be the third to last day of classes at Robb Elementary. Just a horrible thing for the people here in town. The other thing is that we have a clear idea as to the deceased right now at this hour, but we don't have an idea as to exactly how many people were injured as a result of yesterday's shooting. Now, the police chief from Uvalde CISD spoke with us yesterday evening, and he said that that information would take a while to come out. Why? Because different officials are meeting with family members of the victims, and so they're making sure that those families get the information that they need so that they're able to process before officials here in Uvalde make a formal statement and give out the information to the press. But obviously heartbroken to have this many families in such a small town suffering right now. Now, we are across the street from the hospital. We're not able to be on that property, but yesterday when we were there, we did speak with a group of grandparents who said that their 10-year-old grandson was among the 19 children who was killed here yesterday. And if you could imagine, they were understandably distraught. They were nice enough to speak with me off camera, but they really had a difficult time processing this. And you know that this morning they're waking up to a very, very grim reality that their baby, their loved one, is gone. Now, lots of people here are seeking comfort in one another. We have seen the messages on Facebook. This is a community that isn't that big. 16,000 people live in the city of Uvalde. 4,000 children were in the entire Uvalde CISD. So you know that lots of stories are going to be coming out and people are going to be pulling together, supporting one another, because that is, after all, what is needed in order for all of the families here to get beyond what happened here yesterday. In Uvalde, Stephania Jimenez, KSAT 12 News.
4:45, 62 degrees.
And taking a look at the radar right now, again, we had some heavy storms move through overnight. We're going to check in with Justin for a complete forecast later on.
One of the other big things we're tracking this morning is traffic and how the wet weather has affected the roads, and including a big incident on 35. Right now, you're looking at 35 upper and lower level at Laredo. Stephen Cavazos will have an update coming up.
All right, time now about 4:48. We're getting closer to that 5 a.m. hour, and we are still seeing those flashing lights there at 35 at Laredo. Let's get a wide look at TransGuide. Now, TxDOT reporting that we are seeing some high water out in that direction, so drivers, that's in the north and southbound lanes, but we're also picking up some problems here on our map as we take you right to it. There is also a crash there located in the southbound lanes of I-35 near Alamo Street, where you can see a slight buildup of traffic. Now, keep in mind, we were checking around town, and it does look like there's still some wet roads out there. So drivers, you want to make sure that you give yourself plenty of time before getting out on the roads today. Let's go ahead and take a drive over here because we are still picking up this incident off of I-10 eastbound near Martin Luther King Drive. Thankfully, it's not been causing any issues for drivers that are navigating through those roads, but you have to make sure you move over or slow down for first responders. Let's go ahead and now show you that wide view of the map. You can see, again, that's what we're really picking up, just some of those crashes. Again, high water detected near 35 near the downtown area, but right now, thankfully, there's not a lot of drivers out there this morning, but we know that there are some that have to commute. So if you do, just again, remember to take it slow. That's the best way to go. For now, let's check in with Justin Horn.
Stephen, thank you. And yes, you see some of the high water there. We did get some good rain overnight. It came down pretty quick. I suspect that we're not going to see a lot of flooding issues just because we didn't see as much rain as we could have. These storms were moving pretty swiftly, and that brought rainfall totals down a little bit. Good in the sense that we didn't get a lot of flooding, bad in the sense that we could use a little bit more rain. Here is the radar, and you see the showers and heavier rain is now moving towards Beeville and Victoria. We still have a few showers, though, as we showed you earlier, working their way through Wilson County. A few rumbles of thunder there just made their way through Floresville and Poth, and this is moving east and southeast. Falls City still seeing some light showers, and we'll take you down to the Cotulla area. Still seeing some storms down here. Kind of a line of storms more or less developing, but this will push south and east as well. And I think we're kind of on the backside of things. The severe weather threat has basically come to an end. We're not looking for any more severe weather here around San Antonio, certainly as the energy has passed us by. But we did see some stronger storms overnight. There were quite a few warnings. Let's talk rainfall now. How much did we see? About ½ an inch at the airport. And it's 6/10 in Hondo. Uvalde picked up over an inch there. Eagle Pass over an inch. And we've outlined the area where we have the Edwards Aquifer recharge zone. Did get quite a bit of rain in that area too, so that is a good thing. And a little closer look here at San Antonio, Alamo Ranch, 1.23 inches, one of the bigger totals we saw. Canyon Lake, about 3/4 of an inch. New Braunfels, ½ an inch. Same story over towards Seguin. So again, the numbers weren't huge, but it was great to see some healthy rainfall. Now, the other side to this, we got some gusty winds with these storms. Gusts to 63 miles per hour at the airport. Gusted to 48 in New Braunfels, gusted to 58 down there in Stinson. So initially, as the storms came through, those winds were howling. And then behind it, we got the storms and the lightning and thunder. You can see that here on the time lapse with the rain coming down at a pretty good clip. And it was fairly electrical as these storms came through. 64 degrees at the airport right now. Northerly winds at 6 miles per hour. And temperatures are generally in the 60s here, even a few 50s as you get up towards Junction. So some cooler air coming in behind a frontal boundary. 61 Bernie Stage, 60 right now in Comfort. And as we zoom out, you'll see that parts of the state are in the 40s at this hour. 49 in Midland, 48 in Lubbock. So yes, this front is drawing in some cooler air, and it will be cooler today, but one day only because the heat cranks back up after today. 80 degrees the forecast high here in San Antonio, but some places in the state may not get out of the 60s this afternoon. 64 the forecast high in Wichita Falls. So here's a look at the forecast. Those storms continue to push east and away from us. This is around 9 o'clock. Clouds will start to clear out. Now, during the afternoon, there still may be enough leftover energy where we could see a few showers or pop-up storms. Karnes City, Victoria, down to Corpus Christi, but not here. And I think by this evening, the clouds clear out and we get some quiet conditions overnight and really going forward. KSAT 12-hour forecast, just a very small chance of a shower through 9 a.m. Otherwise, partly cloudy, noontime 73, and we top out close to 81 this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies and northeasterly winds anywhere from 5 to 15. 90 tomorrow, 94 on Friday, and we're back in the mid to upper 90s this weekend. Memorial Day 95. Outdoor plans this weekend should work out perfectly. With those kind of temperatures, it would be a good weekend to find maybe a body of water or swimming pool or something like that, guys.
All right, thank you, Justin. 4:53, about 63 degrees.
And up next, an update on the rising costs at the pump as we head into the Memorial Day weekend.
Lottery numbers: pick 3, 692, Fireball 2, Daily 4, 9650, Fireball 7.
Cash 5, 3, 19, 30, 33, 34. And your Mega Millions, 3, 5, 6, 63, 68. Mega Ball 25, Mega Flyer 3. And welcome back. It is 4:56. According to AAA, more than 39 million Americans are expected to travel 50 miles or more this Memorial Day weekend. ABC's Gio Benitez has the details in today's GMA First Look.
In this morning's GMA First Look, preparing for one of the biggest travel weekends of the year.
It really does feel like the beginning of Travel Palooza. Airports are full, airlines are full, hotels are full.
More than 12.4 million people are expected to fly between tomorrow and Memorial Day Monday. On the roads, nearly 40 million people will travel 50 miles or more from home, even as gas prices soar. The national average at $4.59 a gallon.
You only get so many summers in your lifetime, and we've already missed 2. We do not intend to miss a third.
Hotel and rental car deals may be tough to come by if you can even find a car. But believe it or not, there are some airfare deals. And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have the expert tips on the best time to drive to beat the holiday rush. With your GMA First Look, I'm Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
Right now, 4:57, about 63 degrees.
And after the break, we will update you on what we know about the school shooting in Uvalde this morning and how you can help those affected by the tragedy.
And the roads have been affected by the rough weather we had in the overnight hours. We'll get an update from Stephen Cavazos when we come back.
Live from KSAT 12. Good Morning San Antonio starts right now.
A new day is beginning in Uvalde, but with the same nightmarish news from yesterday, a school shooting that has left more than a dozen students and teachers dead. I'm Katrina Weber. I'll have the update.
Thunderstorms shifting south this morning. We had some heavy rain overnight. Those now moving towards the Gulf of Mexico. Some drier and hotter conditions head our way. We've got the latest forecast coming up.
And with all that rain, we are keeping track on the roadways. We'll have the latest on what you can expect for this morning's commute.
Today is Wednesday, May 25th.
It's a tough morning waking up for nearly 24 families who lost loved ones yesterday in the Uvalde school shooting.
Details have begun to trickle in regarding some of the victims. Relatives identified some of them, but the official investigation is still very much ongoing.
Katrina Weber is live at the scene of that mass shooting at Robb Elementary School with an update. And Katrina, we understand that the grandmother of one child is speaking out.
Well, that's right. Of course, we are doing our best to respect the privacy of the victims' families. But in a tragedy like this, in the wake of a tragedy like this, it is common for some people to want to talk and to speak out. And that was the case with the grandmother of this 10-year-old boy. Now, just to recap, that boy, who family identified as Xavier James Lopez, was one of 19 students who were gunned down and killed here at the school. 2 adults also died, as well as the gunman. 4 people are still in the hospital, including the gunman's grandmother. Investigators believe that he shot her first before coming to the school and then going on this rampage. The news has devastated this community and torn families' lives apart.
So it's so hard that you send your kids to school and thinking they're going to make it back home, and they're not. We pray for the other parents going through a similar situation. Our prayers and our sincere condolences go out to them as well.
Even in her own pain, Amelia Sandoval wanted to speak out about her grandson, Xavier James Lopez, 10-year-old, and also to extend her own condolences and care for the other people who are going through this as well, worrying about their healing. Speaking of healing, there will be grief counselors on hand, both here at the school as well as at the Civic Center here in town, to help the community deal with this. And we understand a little bit later on, we expect that we will be getting it. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Katrina, thank you very much. More updates to come. The heartbreak and devastation out of the Uvalde community could cause secondary trauma for some in our wider community. One mental health specialist is encouraging parents to limit how much coverage they and their children are exposed to.
Sarah Costa joins us live in the studio with the signs that parents should look out for and how to comfort those impacted by the trauma.
Hey, and Steph, this morning we were talking about it. How do you talk to, your loved ones and your children about it? You were talking about how you talked to Rooney about what happened yesterday. And a lot of us were glued to our phones and TVs all day yesterday, looking for updates as this horrific situation unfolded. But sometimes that could cause us, and especially our children, secondary trauma. So Mary Beth Fisk with the Ecumenical Center says adults need to do a lot of listening to their children over the next several days. What are their fears as they hear about what's happening? Help reassure them that they are safe. Look for signs of anxiety, not sleeping well, overeating, or not eating enough. These are also signs you should look for on yourself.
We know the need won't stop today. The need will be something that's consistent throughout the many weeks to come. So working alongside the local mental health authorities and others who are from the community, we just want to be there to help.
Well, this morning, many mental health therapists trained in trauma care are headed to Uvalde to provide support for that community. Those who live close to that community are encouraged to reach out to a professional to talk about their emotions in a healthy way. So if you want to talk to someone about finding care, you can reach out to the Ecumenical Center at 210-616-0885. Of course, that number's on your screen right now, and you can find more of all that information also on our webpage at KSAT.com. Now, this traumatic situation has also left many here wanting to know how they can help. So one way is through blood donations. Hundreds of people showed up to donate blood last night, and we will be live at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center at 6 a.m. in our 6 o'clock hour of GMSA about the best way you can do your part. Stephanie.
Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf releasing a statement about this tragedy, saying in part, quote, "It is with profound grief and broken hearts that we learn about the news coming our way," end quote. Also, Bexar County is sending personnel and material from the Office of Emergency Management, the Medical Examiner's Office, the Sheriff's Office, and University Hospital to support the ongoing operation.
City of San Antonio doing what it can to help in this situation. SAPD sent resources to Uvalde in the intense moments leading up to the death of the school shooter. Now Mayor Ron Nirenberg is asking San Antonio residents to fly their flags at half-staff today to honor the victims and the families affected by the mass shooting.
Just like most of us who have children, the first thing we do when we go home is we hug our children. I did that tonight. And we just have to remember that there's a whole community of people over there that are trying to do that, and many cannot. And we have to give folks the grace and understanding to know where they are in the mourning process. Well, during the incident, SAPD sent their Eagle helicopter and bomb squad to assist Uvalde police. Local crime scene investigators now working closely with Texas Rangers to turn over anything to help uncover why this tragedy happened. And we continue to follow this developing story on air and online throughout the day. That includes the latest on victims, their families, and how you can help them the most. It is all online right now on our website at KSAT.com. More news coverage to come. Right now, let's transition to weather and let's get an update on power outages in our area. Some of you are streaming us on your smartphones right now because your power is out. CPS currently listing just under 15,000 customers without power throughout our area. Some folks have been without power since right around 12:30 this morning. So it has been a long and somewhat warm night. Go ahead and check in with Justin.
Yeah, CPS I know is working on that, and thankfully these storms are moving out now, so there's going to be an opportunity to hopefully get the power restored. It was electrical last night with these storms coming through. It was a busy night, some pockets of heavy rain. We did have some severe weather, some reports of hail in spots, but now all of that weather is moving to the south and east. We've lost a lot of the warning, so this is just some good rain here stretching from Beeville over to Victoria. And we have one little corridor here where we're still seeing some pretty hefty rain and probably some lightning strikes mixed in here. And this is between Dilley and Cotulla along I-35 there. In between those two cities is where there is a pocket of some pretty good rain. And this stretches east through LaSalle County and is working east and southeast. Meantime, San Antonio has cleared out. The rain is out of here. We've just got clouds left over, but still a lot of wet roads, as Stephen will tell you here in just a second. Pollen count, molds were moderate yesterday at 550. Grass was low at 20. You can pretty much bet on the fact that mold is going to be elevated today because we saw that rain overnight. And as we look at the forecast temperatures today, it'll be a cooler day. Front came through. That's what helped to bring those showers and storms. So that'll keep temperatures in the low 80s this afternoon for highs. But this is going to be a one-day thing because by tomorrow, we're back in the 90s and it's a pretty hot forecast going forward. That 7-day forecast is coming up. But let's talk to Stephen now. Those rains overnight caused some issues.
Yeah, Justin, and we were just talking about this a little bit earlier. That lower level part here at 35 at Laredo, we could see some of that water that is trickling down into the roadways. But thankfully, earlier we did talk about a crash out in that direction, but it looks like it is cleared. So drivers, just keep that in mind. We are seeing those wet roads around town, and those problems, unfortunately, are still out there and they exist. So let's go ahead and start here. This is the new crash, the latest one that we're adding to that list off of I-10 eastbound there near Loop 410 near Crossroads. Now, not picking up any slowdowns just yet, but it is still very early out there. But we know people will drive through that area if they're heading into the downtown spot. So just make sure you are prepared whenever you see those flashing lights. A wide look at the map map does show another crash may have popped up there off of I-10. We'll look into that as the morning does go on and see how it impacts the drive time. But thankfully, we're not really seeing so much of an impact when it comes to those travel times into the Alamo City. We're just about green across the board. But of course, we know we're seeing that usual slowdown on 281 coming in from Bulverde in those southbound lanes. Just about a 30-minute drive time if you're heading into San Antonio. So just be prepared, and also be prepared for those wet roads. We still are seeing them out there in those TransGuide cameras. We're going to be here on GMSA giving you those updates coming up a little bit later on. Guys.
Stephen, thank you. 510, 63 degrees.
And still ahead, we're going to have the latest on the primary runoff races from last night, including this big race between Henry Cuellar and Jessica Cisneros.
Outside with live cam, storms did arrive overnight. It's a somewhat wet start to the morning, and we still have storms in part of the KSAT 12 viewing area. More updates to come. We will continue our coverage on the school shooting in Uvalde in just a moment.
We also wanted to bring you up to date on the election results from last night's primary runoff. So Bexar County will get a new judge, and here are the results that we're looking at this morning. So as you know, State Representative Ina Minjares went head-to-head with former District Court Judge Peter Sakai for the Democratic nomination, and looking at Peter Sakai with 58% of the votes and leading over Ina Minjares, who had 42% of the vote. And as we mentioned, the winner will face former County Commissioner Trish DeBerry in November.
Sakai declared the winner in that race. All right, the rematch for Congressional District 28, also one of the big races of the night last night. Immigration Attorney Jessica Cisneros trying to unseat incumbent Congressman Henry Cuellar. Let's take a look at those results. Both sitting at right around 50%, a very slim margin. Cuellar is ahead of the vote count. Cuellar has declared victory, but as of last night, Cisneros had not yet conceded this race.
And there is also a runoff on the Republican side of the ballot. So Cassie Garcia is a former staff member for Ted Cruz. She has beaten Sandra Whitten with 57% of the vote. Sandra Whitten with 43% of the vote. Now the winner from each race will face a Democratic nominee in November.
And the race for Attorney General had to run off as well for both parties. Incumbent Ken Paxton trying to defend his seat. He handily defeated George P. Bush, 69% to 31%.
And over on the Democratic side, former staff attorney for the ACLU, Rochelle Mercedes Garza, is looking at 63% of the votes. She took this election, and the trial lawyer Joe Jaworski has 37% of the vote. You can find all the results right now on our website at KSAT.com.
Time check 5:15, about 63 degrees.
And taking a look at the radar right now, we had those heavy storms move in through overnight. Justin is still tracking the movement, leaving our area. We'll be right back.
Actually, we've got TransGuide real quick here. Wet roads out there, that's going to be a problem right now for commuters and could be throughout the morning. Stephen will also have an update straight ahead.
Welcome to Allstate, where everyone saves when they bundle their home and auto insurance. Isn't that right, Frank?
I saved 25%. Booyah.
You protected your casa?
Sure did.
And the Frank tank?
You know it.
And now you're relaxing.
I'm working from home.
Sure you are.
All right, I see a lot of head nods. Let's circle back tomorrow.
You aren't kidding. Save up to 25% when you bundle home and auto with Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
Allergy sufferers. Bedtime means it's time to take Zysol. Zysol relieves allergies while you sleep, so you wake refreshed. Plus, it works faster than Claritin, and on first dose, provides the same relief as Zyrtec in a pill nearly half the size. Be wise all, take Zysol at night.
Experience the perfectly balanced, rich flavors of Lindt Excellence by the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
Time now, just about 5:19. Let's get a look at the roadways right now. We are still seeing some damp roads and wet roads out there, but let's go ahead and bring the camera in and show you what we are seeing for this Wednesday morning commute. Still pretty dark out there, obviously off 35 near Loop 410, but we are also seeing some of those wet roads that were picked up on some of these TransGuide cameras. Now, the only difference now is that we are really just starting to see traffic pick up in a lot of these lanes, so just remember, take it slow, because we saw a little bit of crashes, a few crashes, I should say, earlier in the morning. Right now, though, as you can see on our map, it does appear that it's calming down a little bit, but we still have this incident as we take you in right there off of I-10 eastbound near 410. They're near Crossroads. Now, for a while, it's been there for a little while, I should say, but we haven't really been seeing any issues in terms of congestion or slowdowns. So just keep that in mind as you head out the door and watch out for those first responders who are working to keep the roads a safe place. One last look around town. Again, some of those issues we talked about earlier, thankfully, have been cleared out, and the morning seems to be moving quite nicely, but we know the roads are still wet. Justin, what else can we expect with the forecast?
Well, the storms that created those wet roads are moving away. We still got some heavy rain down along the Texas coast. You see that where we have some of those reds and yellows there. That represents some moderate to heavy rain, but not severe weather. We did have severe weather overnight, but these storms have kind of calmed down a little bit. There is still going to be some pretty hefty rainfall totals down to the south and east of San Antonio. We're still watching a few storms here around the Cotulla area. These are still holding on, probably a few lightning strikes with these. In fact, we can turn on the lightning here and see if we do see some strikes with these cells, and we certainly do. It has been electrical really all night long with these storms. And these, again, are working south and east and will produce some heavy rain as they move to the east towards Live Oak County this morning. Otherwise, the storms have moved out of San Antonio, and things are really quiet here. We're not noticing any more cells, and I think we're done with the rain for this morning, and we'll see the skies clear as we get into the afternoon. Want to do a bit of a recap here. This shows you how this kind of played out. You see the storms that developed overnight into a line, worked their way south and east. And all these dots represent where we had some severe weather reports, 20 plus, in fact. Quarter-size hail reported in Crystal City, Eagle Pass. We had some tree branches snapped in San Antonio and around the Carson City area where we had some gusts up over 60 miles per hour, 63 mile per hour wind gusts reported here in Bexar County. And that really was the biggest factor, I think, overnight with these storms, with those strong gusty winds, especially initially as the storms moved through. And then also on the backside of the storms, we got some gusty winds too. Rainfall-wise, about half an inch at the airport. Hondo about 0.66. Out towards Uvalde, over an inch of rain there. 0.63 in Kerrville. But areas within that aquifer recharge zone, there was quite a bit of rain. That's a good thing. The aquifer should respond today. And locally here across Bexar County, places like Alamo Ranch picked up over an inch of rain. So there were some decent totals. I'll tell you, though, these storms are moving pretty quick, and that limited our rainfall numbers. I think we could have seen some bigger numbers had they been moving a little bit slower. But that's just the way it played out. Right now, we've got 64 at the airport, 64 Stinson, 63 at Kelly. And we're looking at a north-northwesterly wind. Temperatures have dipped into the 50s now in places like Rock Springs and Fredericksburg. It's a cool morning behind this cold front. And it will be a mild day. We're talking about highs in the low 80s this afternoon. 64 Canyon Lake, 63 right now in New Braunfels. And the radar and satellite, again, show that this whole complex, this whole system is now moving out into the Gulf of Mexico and pushing south into deep South Texas. So the forecast calls for things to really quiet down, clouds to thin out, and I think by late this afternoon, we're going to be looking at quite a bit of sun here around San Antonio. Certainly by tonight, clear skies. Tomorrow, sunny all day long, and temperatures will warm up as a result. Here's a look at the forecast temperatures today. I think by noontime, we're probably in the low 70s, and then by the afternoon, topping out in the low 80s, some 70s for highs in places like Bernie and Fair Oaks Ranch. And, you know, we're getting closer to June, so these kind of numbers, we're not going to see them very often going forward, if at all. 90 degrees Thursday, 94 Friday. We're going to be in the mid-90s this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. Is going to be a hot one, and we're expecting highs in the mid-90s on Memorial Day. Rain chances after today stay out of the forecast.
All right, thank you, Justin.
523, about 63 degrees.
And coming up next, how other school districts are planning to beef up security and safety for students following the tragedy in Uvalde.
Pick 3 numbers, 692, Fireball 2, Daily 4, 9650, Fireball 7.
Cash 5, 3, 19, 30, 33, 34. And your Mega Millions, 3, 5, 6, 63, 68, Mega Ball 25, Mega Plier 3.
.526 in the wake of the tragedy in Uvalde, San Antonio school districts are now on high alert.
That includes Northeast ISD, and the ISD police say following this tragic event, it is important for their agency to keep in contact with others in the area. Chief Wally McCampbell says they are on the lookout for people who might tried to imitate this deadly event.
You know, unfortunately, what we see after a school shooting is we see copycats or kids posting stuff, you know, trying to, well, I want to get out of school the next day, or I don't want to go to school on Friday or whatever, you know, and it couldn't come at a worse time.
And Chief McCampbell also says any ISD schools hold school shooter drills every school year, at least once a semester.
Yeah, expect heightened security for the rest of the school year at many campuses in our viewing area. Now 527, still 63 degrees.
And taking a look at the radar right now, again, we had heavy storms overnight. It looks like they are moving out at this time. We'll be checking in with Justin for the very latest.
And TransGuide right now. Overall, the roads are improving, but we're still tracking these flashing lights at one of those areas that collects a lot of water when we have storms. 35 lower level at Laredo. Anything else pops up, Stephen will get you up to speed coming up next.
A new day is beginning in Uvalde, but with the same nightmarish news from yesterday, a school shooting that has left more than a dozen students and teachers dead. I'm Katrina Weber. I'll have the update.
And after all that heavy rain last night, we are waking up to a cooler 63 degrees. Justin will be tracking the changes for later this week.
It is Wednesday, the 25th. It has been a terrible night for countless people following yesterday's school shooting in Uvalde.
So we want to get you caught up on the latest on what we know so far today.
If home is where the heart is, there is a huge hole in the heart of Uvalde, Texas. The gunman's rampage has devastated that community, leaving 21 people, including 19 elementary school students, dead.
Katrina Weber is live where it happened outside of Robb Elementary. Katrina, you mentioned earlier that there will be counselors available.
Yeah, we understand that there will be counselors for the community at the Civic Center. The school district also making counselors available for the staff members. The healing here will no doubt take a lot of time because, of course, there has been a lot of loss. Now, the latest numbers that we have is that there were 19 students and 2 adults who have been killed. The gunman also was killed, and we also have 4 people, including 3 students, still in the hospital this morning. That, of course, is all of the result of that shooting rampage which happened yesterday. Now, according to what investigators have told us, that gunman, that 18-year-old high school student, shot his grandmother initially, then somehow made his way to Robb Elementary School, where he shot the students and those teachers that we told you about. And he also was killed in the process. Now, the investigation's still very much going on here this morning, so we expect that those numbers could pop. But of course, the big question on everyone's minds is why this happened, and that so far is a question without any answers. And we do expect that a little bit later on we'll hear from law enforcement officials and get some updated details, and of course, we will bring those to you as soon as we know them. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, Katrina, thank you. We're also getting reaction from some of the students who were hiding in classrooms while the gunman was shooting their classmates.
One of those students, 4th grader Jordan Legis, spoke with ABC News about what he saw during those terrifying moments.
We all got kind of by the door, the door's right here, and we're on this side. We're all right here, and then so that's when he starts. When he sees the students and our teacher, that's when he starts shooting at the window and the wall right there. So he starts shooting it all up. All kinds of smoke is in the room as we're in there. And so we all get kind of by the door. We all get down, and then a few seconds later, I guess he got inside somehow, and then he starts shooting at our door. And then so we're the door's right here, and we're right here. Then we get up and run all the way under a desk thing. And then so we just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, nonstop, constantly gunshots.
And you will be able to hear this full reaction later today on Good Morning America.
Back here in San Antonio, crowds have been showing up to donate blood following the mass shooting. South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says 600 donors showed up yesterday. And today's emergency blood drive in Uvalde is completely booked, but the need will remain. Use your phone to scan the QR code on your screen to learn more anytime. You can also schedule a donation closer to home. University Health accepting reservations to donate blood as well. All that information is on our website as you need it on KSAT.com. Area school districts responding to the tragedy. SAISD Superintendent Jamie Aquino sent out the statement saying, in part, to the Uvalde Consolidated ISD family, the San Antonio ISD family mourns with you. You are not alone. We too are your family. We stand ready to assist you however you might need us during this time of crisis. Please know that our guidance counselors are on alert and ready to counsel students.
Schertz, Cibolo Universal City ISD's superintendent, also reacting in a letter sent to parents. Quote, our hearts go out to the Uvalde community and the victims of the terrible event that took place at Robb Elementary in Uvalde CISD. And keeping our students and staff safe in SCUC ISD is the most important duty that we have.
A reminder for those of you in Uvalde, there's an opportunity to speak with great counselors later this morning. This is at the De Leon Civic Center, 300 Main Street, open at 8 a.m. for teachers and staff from Robb Elementary. Then 10 a.m. it opens up for everyone else.
And we are continuing to follow this developing story on air and online throughout the day. We're going to have reaction from local leaders and how other school districts around the area are responding to this shooting. It's all online right now at KSAT.com.
We had storms roll through overnight, and we've been tracking the power outages, which continue to drop. CPS Energy crews out there working hard in the overnight hours. When we went on the air, we were sitting right around 15,000 outages, maybe more than that, now down to 12,104 customers affected by power outages around the Bexar County area.
And the storms are moving out, so let's go ahead and check in with Justin right now.
Yeah, those storms are moving away. They were electrical last night. We had some gusty winds, too, which explains some of those power outages. CPS should be able to get out there and make some of those or fix some of those issues that are going on now that these storms are out of here. Storms now moving closer to the coast. Still some lightning strikes from Victoria down towards Port Lavaca, and still seeing a few storms down there around Cotulla. These strong but not severe, likely producing some pretty heavy rain. We still got some lightning strikes associated with that area. Again, down towards the Cotulla area, and that's going to continue to sink south. San Antonio, done with the rain. We're done with the storms. Clouds will clear out a little bit later this afternoon. And as we look at the peak wind gusts that were measured with those storms overnight, we had a gust to 63 miles per hour here in San Antonio, gust at 58 miles per hour at Stinson, and it gusted to nearly 50 in New Braunfels. So these were some strong winds that came along with these storms, and we have seen some minor damage caused by those strong winds. KSAT 12-hour forecast. By 10 o'clock, partly cloudy skies, noontime 73. Clouds really start to thin out this afternoon, and we'll get those temperatures up into the low 80s. 81, your forecast high, and a northeasterly wind, which keeps things mild today, but just today because we get a big warm up as we head towards Memorial Day weekend. I know we had some high water in spots. Let's check in with Steven now and see if that's still the case. So there's still some issues out there?
You know, we're seeing some first responders out here, Justin. Thank you. At 35 there at the lower level of Laredo, you can see that we are also spotting somewhat of a slowdown with traffic almost coming to a stop there, but that's because we are seeing that high water detected in that area. Our friends at TransGuide have had this camera shot up for us for some time now, but again, not sure exactly how long we're going to see those flashing lights in this area, but we know that traffic is getting moving as the morning does progress. So let's go ahead and just start with that wide view of the map, because thankfully we're not really picking up a lot of issues out there. We're going to get to this crash in just a moment, but let's go ahead and bring that camera in because we can show you that there's also a new crash that was picked up there along I-35 in the northbound lanes, of US 90. And you can see a little bit further up, there's also a slowdown. However, TxDOT is reporting that there's that high water in the southbound lanes at lower level at Frio Street. So just be cautious through the downtown area. Now, as I mentioned, we have that crash. That's a new one that's popped up here off I-35 northbound at Eisenhower Road on the east side of San Antonio. Not causing issues just yet for drivers, but we know that first responders have had a busy morning. Let's go and take a wide look at the inbound times. Thankfully, again, no slowdowns just yet. So if you are traveling into San Antonio, you can give yourself plenty of time, or you can give yourself time, that is, and take it slow out on the roads, because right now there's no need to rush. We're not seeing major slowdowns just yet. But one last look here, lots of flashing lights there at 35 at Laredo. We'll find out what's going on there and give you those updates here on GMSA. Guys.
539, 63 degrees.
And coming up next, a look at the political fallout as a result of yesterday's school shooting in Uvalde and what lawmakers plan to do now that we have seen 212 mass shootings in the U.S. in the first 144 days of this year.
Outside with live cam, more weather coverage throughout the morning as we continue to track a few stray showers and storms. We'll be back. All right, welcome back right now, and I am moving my scripts real quick here. Okay, this morning the nation is waking up to yet another school shooting. It is the deadliest in nearly 10 years since the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary.
That's right. ABC's Eva Midella is in Washington with a look at the reaction on Capitol Hill.
Overnight, as a line of hearses waited to carry off the victims at Robb Elementary School, lawmakers in Washington confronted the ugly truth.
We are seeing way too many of these.
We have another Sandy Hook on our hands. What are we doing?
I would normally say in a moment like this, we would all say naturally that our hearts break, but our hearts keep getting broken.
The violence in Uvalde coming less than 2 weeks after 10 people were killed in Buffalo. The FBI reporting 212 mass shootings in the U.S. in the first 144 days of the year. But Uvalde marks the deadliest school shooting in nearly 10 years, reminding the nation of the Sandy Hook tragedy and the call to action that came a decade ago.
And we're going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this.
Since Sandy Hook, Congress has tried and failed to pass gun control legislation. The House recently managed to pass bills that would expand the review period for gun buyers and require background checks for sales at gun shows. But those efforts are expected to be blocked by the Senate.
Our kids are living in fear every single time they set foot in a classroom because they think they're going to be next. What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority, if your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing?
Many Republicans say restricting weapons is not the answer.
That doesn't work. It's not effective. It doesn't prevent crime. We know what does prevent crime, which is going after felons and fugitives and those with serious mental illness, arresting them, prosecuting them when they try to illegally buy firearms.
With the issue of gun control now front and center ahead of the midterm elections, many people believe the path forward can be found in red flag laws. Now, those laws open the door for officials to identify anyone potentially dangerous and either confiscate their weapons or ban them from buying a new one. Eva Midella, ABC News, Washington.
And time now is 5:45 and 63 degrees for now.
And this is our big area of concern right now. Actually, we're on the rotator right now, but 35 at Laredo. We've got a bunch of flashing lights out there right now. Stephen Cavazos will have an update coming up, and we'll give you a better look right now. You're looking at some of the other cameras. Roads are starting to dry out in a few spots, folks. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody, time now is 5:47. We are still seeing those flashing lights there at 35 there at Laredo. And you can see we have a closer look now from TransGuide as we bring that camera in and show you. Right now, it does appear that one lane of traffic is moving through there. And you can see from that digital overhead sign that the Alamo exit is closed at this time due to some high water. Of course, we do have those first responders that are out there that have that area blocked off right now. And you can actually pick up some of that water from the TransGuide camera. Not very clear, but we can see that based off the lights that are there in the image. So just remember, take it easy out there. It's also urging you to look for those alternative routes. And of course, we're going to be doing the same as the morning does go on. But we're going to start here with a wide look at the map and show you how the commute has been shaping up. You can see that we have that crash up here on the east side near 35 at Eisenhower. But a lot of the problems we've really been picking up are here in the downtown area. We have to start here near 281, though, before we get our way down there, because in the northbound lanes near Hildebrand, TxDOT has reported a crash at that notorious spot where we see plenty of crashes whenever those roads do get wet. So whenever you approach that curve, just remember to slow your speed. Let's take that drive down here to 35, where we have that area that's where we're starting to see a buildup in the north and southbound lanes. That high water detected near the lower level at Frio Street. A little bit further down, also seeing a crash there in the northbound lanes at US 90. So the morning commute has shaped up to be a pretty messy one. But again, Justin, we're picking up that high water now that some of those vehicles have moved out of the way. It's just not really been a dry morning out on the roadways at all.
No, and that's a good example right there, because we didn't get a ton of heavy rain overnight, but all it takes is a good downpour, and we know those notorious areas that flood, just like the lower level of I-35, and you can imagine if we get more rain, what that would look like. So it's a good reminder just to avoid those areas when we get rainfall like we did overnight. The rain has moved out, so we're drying out here in San Antonio. Still seeing a few storms down there around Cotulla. Those two are moving to the south and east. Seeing a few lightning strikes, but for the most part, this is just good rain for those along the coast. And it was pretty quick moving as it came through San Antonio, so we did not get the huge totals, as I mentioned, when it comes to rainfall. Most of it was in the range of a half an inch up to an inch here around San Antonio. Bernie picked up about 0.84 of an inch. Kerrville about 0.6. Uvalde, one of the places that picked up more rain last night, 1.3 inches there, 1.06 in Eagle Pass. And then a little closer here around Bexar County, 1.23 in Alamo Ranch. So yes, there were a few spots that did get up above an inch of rain. Within the aquifer recharge zone, we saw some pretty good numbers, so we should see the aquifer respond today. Along with those storms, we also saw the gusty winds. These were the peak measured wind gusts. And at San Antonio International, we got a wind gust of 63 miles per hour, gust of 52 in Pleasanton. Kennedy got a gust to 64 miles per hour. So this did do some minor damage. Tree limbs were the biggest thing I saw there with these winds. And of course, if you had your trash can or something like that outside, it may have blown down the street with winds as strong as they were last night. And you can see on time lapse as those storms came through, a lot of lightning. These storms are very electrical. One of the reasons we're seeing some of those power outages still this morning. 64 degrees at the airport, northwesterly winds at about 8 miles per hour. So we've seen that change in the wind direction behind this front, and it means that we'll see a mild day. It's not going to be hot. Temperatures low 80s for highs, which is pretty nice considering what we've seen most of May. Right now, we're at 58 degrees in Fredericksburg, 58 Junction, 63 in Uvalde, 66 Cotulla, 64 in Pleasanton, and mostly 60s here around Bexar County this morning, 65 down there at Stinson. And as we look across the state, you will find some pretty cool numbers in the Texas Panhandle. 47 Lubbock, 45 Amarillo, 48 in Midland, a spot that had some severe weather yesterday too, with large hail reported there. So in the wake of the storm system, cooler and somewhat drier air trying to work in, but it just lasts for a day. I mean, these are great temperatures. These are the forecast high temperatures, 70s Waco and Dallas, 80 here. But by tomorrow, we're right back in the 90s, and from there on, it's going to be a hot forecast. As far as any rain goes, that's all going to move out of here by 9, 10 o'clock, really moving into the Gulf of Mexico, and then clouds begin to clear. Now, I can't rule out a few isolated showers and storms south and east of San Antonio this afternoon. There will still be some energy sitting down there. So a chance, but we're not looking for severe weather or anything like that. And then by 8 p.m., all of this moves out, and we get clear skies tonight and going into tomorrow. So our KSAT 12-hour forecast, 10% chance of rain at 9 o'clock, noontime 73 degrees, partly cloudy, and then by the afternoon, mostly sunny here, 81, that high temperature. And again, south and east of town, there could be a stray shower or storm. Extended forecast, 90 Thursday, 94 on Friday. Then we get into the mid to upper 90s both Saturday and Sunday. Memorial Day will be hot too. So if you plan to be outdoors, just use some precaution. We'll start to see some humidity returning as well. It's not until next week that we may see a small chance of rain return to the forecast, but we are back into sort of a dry situation, and this was not a drought bust here by any stretch of the imagination. So we do need some more rain somewhere down the line, guys.
Sure do. Thank you very much, Justin. 5:53, about 63 degrees.
Go ahead and look at your winning Lotto numbers. Starting off with pick 3, we have 692, Fireball 2, Daily 4, 9650, Fireball 7.
Cash 5 numbers 3, 19, 30, 33, 34. And Mega Millions, 3, 5, 6, 63, 68. Mega Ball 25, Mega Plier 3. Glad you're with us on this Wednesday morning. We will be back.
Good morning. Coming up on GMA, we are live on the scene in Uvalde, Texas, with the latest on the elementary school mass shooting, the new details on the investigation, the victims, and the anger, frustration, fear so many of us are feeling right now. How do we cope? How do we help our kids? We're going to have that. And then also breaking overnight, results from high-stakes primaries and what they say about former President Trump's influence on the GOP. And Brittany Griner's wife, Cheryl Griner, sat down with Robin to talk about the WNBA star's detention in Russia and the fight to get her home. You're going to see that and so much more right here on GMA.
And of course, KSAT's coverage of the school shooting in Uvalde will continue on air and online throughout the day. That includes the latest on victims and their families and how you can help them the most. It's all online right now at KSAT.com. We're going to tell you more about some of those victims who lost their lives yesterday in this horrendous event coming up in our next hour. One of the other big stories this morning we are tracking is potential traffic problems right now. We've got some high water that has closed part of one of the exit ramps, 35 here in the downtown area. Stephen Cavazos will have the very latest on that coming up, and another update from meteorologist Justin Horn.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like nonstop, like constantly gunshots. And then we're over here all scared on the ground, fearing for our lives.
Right now they're focused on processing the scene, trying to gather as much evidence, talking to witnesses, seeing if there's any type of surveillance cameras, and also working with FBI to try to determine any type of prior history with the suspect, looking at social media platforms, trying to determine as much evidence as possible.
It's time to turn this pain into action. For every parent, for every citizen in this country, we have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act.
People here in Uvalde are waking up to a sad reality that yesterday's gunman's rampage was not just a bad dream. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. I'll have the latest on that story.
One way to help out those victims from that tragic elementary school shooting in Uvalde yesterday is by donating blood. I'm Sarah Costa. Coming up on GMSA, how San Antonio has already turned out in a big way and what the Blood and Tissue Center says they still need.
And we had storms overnight. Those storms starting to move out now. We're going to see things clear out this afternoon. We'll talk about rainfall totals and what kind of damage we saw from those storms coming up.
And some of those storms led to some flooding and closures here in the downtown area. We have some updates on your morning commute in the next few minutes.
But first this morning, it is a horribly difficult morning for many of us waking up today following that horrific mass shooting at a Uvalde elementary school.
This happened yesterday afternoon at Robb Elementary. 19 students and 2 adults lost their lives yesterday after a gunman opened fire inside the campus.
This is a story hitting hard for not just folks here in San Antonio, but across South Texas, around the country and around the world as well.
And 4 patients were taken to San Antonio. They're being treated at University Hospital. A 9-year-old is now being treated there.
Now, we're also being told that a 10-year-old girl and a 66-year-old woman are still listed in critical condition. Another 10-year-old girl was taken to University Hospital. She is listed in good condition. One thing that is absolutely clear this morning as we wake up on this Wednesday morning, healing will not come quickly for the people of Uvalde. Yesterday's school shooting rampage has left an indelible impression on people in that city and, as I said, all around the world.
Katrina Weber is live outside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, the scene of that heartbreaking crime, with the story. And Katrina, we can't imagine what these families are going through right now, but there are also survivors who have to live with this.
Well, that's right. Some of these survivors are almost too young to even understand what happened. Students at this elementary school. In fact, this rampage is difficult for almost anyone to understand. Now, according to what investigators have told us, an 18-year-old high school student shot his grandmother yesterday, then made his way to Robb Elementary, where he seemingly shot students and teachers at random. 19 children, 2 adults were killed, as well as the gunman. 4 other people still in the hospital. All of this is hard for a lot of people to process. Now, imagine being a child who was there when it happened.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like nonstop, like constantly gunshots. And then we're over here all scared on the ground, fearing for our lives.
that fourth grader, Jordan Leah's most likely still trying to process this all today. Now, to help people in the community process what happened, grief counselors are being made available. We understand that first we will have staff members and teachers from the school being able to meet with them, and then later on the community will be able to meet with grief counselors as well. And that will take place at the Civic Center later this morning here in Uvalde. Reporting live in Uvalde, Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
All right, thank you, Katrina. We know many people want to help in any way they can, especially those in our San Antonio community. Hundreds of people showed up to the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center to donate yesterday.
It's an amazing sight. Sarah Costa live inside the Donors Inventory Center with how people can help out today. Sarah.
Blood supply that is available right now, and you can see these two boxes of O positive. This is what's left over after they sent out a shipment to Uvalde yesterday for those victims. And Roger, yesterday was a tremendous day for you guys. Take us through that first phone call that you guys received a little after noon when the incident first occurred.
That's correct. We got the phone call right before noon that we needed to send some units over to the Uvalde hospital. So we originally sent 15 units of those low titer O whole blood there, and then later in the day we sent an additional 10 units of O negative blood that's behind you to the hospital.
And I know the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center, you guys have struggled with a low supply since the pandemic. So the fact that you guys were able to actually have some available is extraordinary.
That's correct. Our blood supply has been fragile since the pandemic has started, and to be able to help that way has been great. We've had a great outpouring from the community coming in and donating.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Yesterday, you said there was at one point a 2-hour wait outside the donor pavilion. People started responding, and the one way they could help out is by donating.
That is correct. So once the news started going out about what we were experiencing, San Antonio came out. They came out to wanted to donate, help, and give back. And so we had a 2-hour wait at times. I think we saw our last donor around 8:30 last night here at the pavilion. So that was a great thing, showing that people pouring out and wanted to help the community.
About 600 donations last night. So if people watching, I mean, that need is still great. How can they donate today or throughout the rest of the weekend?
That's great. Yeah, 600 donors yesterday. We have about another over 700 today who are scheduled. So you can visit southtexas.org. If you don't find a spot this today or tomorrow, keep looking. We have some mobile drives that have some spots availability. So if you can get in there, that's great. If not, we still need your help later this weekend and early next week as well.
So I was talking to Roger earlier. No walk-in available today at the donor pavilion. There are some openings at some of those mobile site units. There is a special drive happening in Uvalde. That is completely booked as well. Another way you can help donate is through contacting University Health, and they also have openings as well. We have all this information right now on KSAT.com. Mark and Stephanie.
Sarah, thank you. City of San Antonio doing what it can to help in this situation. SAPD sent some resources to Uvalde in the immediate aftermath of yesterday's school shooting when it was unclear if the gunman acted alone.
Now Mayor Ron Nirenberg is asking San Antonio residents to fly their flags at half-staff today to honor the victims and families affected by this mass shooting.
Just like most of us who have children, the first thing we do when we go home is we hug our children. I did that tonight. And we just have to remember that there's a whole community of people over there that are trying to do that, and many cannot. And we have to give folks the grace and understanding to know where they are in the mourning process.
And right after the incident, San Antonio Police Department sent their Eagle helicopter and bomb squad to assist the Uvalde police. Local crime scene investigators are now working closely with the Texas Rangers to turn over anything to help uncover why this tragedy happened. And news of yesterday's shooting not only hitting the community in South Texas, it is rocking the entire nation. President Biden speaking from the White House last night, calling for the need to do more in terms of gun reform. The president asking from the podium, why do these shootings happen so frequently in America? He says other countries have mental health issues, domestic violence, and lost individuals, but senseless acts of violence are most prevalent here in the U.S.
To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out.
And yesterday's comments from Biden come just over 1 week after 10 people were killed at a New York supermarket.
Right now on our website, we're remembering the victims of the tragedy. Of course, this is a story we're going to follow very closely as updates and new developments start to come into our newsroom. Follow us both on air and online at KSAT.com for the very latest. Well, one of our other top stories overnight has been the weather and its effects on parts of our viewing area. Right now, CPS Energy is reporting just over 10,000 customers without power, but crews have made significant progress restoring power in the last hour and a half to 2 hours. A lot of folks have been without power since just after midnight when the storm started to roll through.
That's right. When we started this newscast, we were at about 20,000 power outages, down to 10,000. And let's go ahead and check in with Justin for the very latest on those storms.
Yeah, good to see some improvement there. And these storms are really starting to move out. We still do notice a few storms down here around Cotulla, stretching over to Choke Canyon and then over to Three Rivers and George West. But this is the last of it. We'll zoom out here and you'll see that that's kind of the far southern extent there. These showers and storms are quickly now pushing into the Gulf of Mexico, and the rain is over here in San Antonio. And temperatures have cooled down a little bit. We should be in the low 70s by lunchtime, and then by the afternoon we'll warm up to about 81 degrees, which is below average. But this will be our 1 day below average, because after today, temperatures really do start to ramp up. And you can see here in the extended forecast, we're going to continue to see some warmer numbers as we head towards the weekend. We've had some issues on the roadways this morning, some high water in spots after those storms move through. What's the latest over there, Stephen?
Yeah, unfortunately, Justin, this high water that we spotted there off 35 at the lower Laredo spot, we have seen a closure now in both the north and southbound lanes. Let's go ahead and give you a wide look there from TransGuide, and you can see that first responders are out there. Earlier, we were able to pick up some of the water that TransGuide cameras were showing, but now we're not seeing any traffic, I should say, in those lower levels. And you can see the upper level looking a little bit busier, and that's because of that closure. So let's take you right to the map, because that slowdown is picking up in the upper levels. But we know, again, those lower levels near Frio Street are closed due to that high water. We're hoping that they can reopen soon, but in the meantime, we are looking at alternative routes. For drivers, keep in mind, this is subject to change, and this just changed just within the last few moments. Encouraging you to exit Nogalitos and get onto Flores Street to avoid that. But the reason why we are seeing that stretch of red is also because of a crash not too far from there. So I-35 northbound at US 90, that was picked up earlier in the morning. And of course, it is leading to other problems in the area. But as we get that wide look, thankfully, we're not spotting major issues elsewhere, but we are still seeing some crashes off of some of those major roadways. So just be careful out there. Again, one last look here at the inbound times. If you are traveling into the downtown area, no need to rush. But again, for our friends up in Bulverde, a 28-minute drive time. But the problem is going to be right here at that lower level spot. We'll be watching it closely and have more updates. Guys?
Thank you, Stephen. Right now, it's just about 6:12, 63 degrees on your Wednesday morning.
And still ahead on GMSA, our team coverage continues this morning following the aftermath of the tragic school shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
And there is other news this morning. We'll have the wrap-up of some of the results of last night's primary runoff election.
And taking a look outside with live cam after all those showers overnight, we are starting off cooler at 63 degrees. Things will change again. We'll be checking in with Justin later on in the newscast.
6:15, welcome back. We'll continue our coverage of the school shooting in Uvalde in just a moment. But first, we wanted to bring you up to date on some election results from last night's primary runoff. Bexar County, as we know, is getting a new county judge. And here are the results for one of those runoffs last night. Judge Peter Sakai taking on Ina Manjarres for that race right now. Sakai declared the winner, 58% to Manjarres' 42%. Sakai will be faced Republican Trish DeBerry coming up in the November general election. One of the other big races last night, that rematch for Congressional District 28, one of the big races last night. Incumbent Henry Cuellar facing immigration attorney Jessica Cisneros trying to unseat him. And let's take a look at those very close results right now. now, you see a very marginal separation of votes, 50% on both sides. Cuellar with 22,694, Cisneros 22,517. Last night, we are understanding Cuellar declared victory, but so far, Jessica Cisneros has not yet conceded this race. We'll keep you updated.
And time now is 6:16. It looks like there are still problems out there at I-35 in Laredo. Let's go ahead and check in with Stephen Cavazos.
Yeah, I was actually just checking out some alternative routes there. This is subject to change, and we're going to have to update that as the morning does go on, but we are still seeing that closure there at 35. Bringing it into the camera, now we aren't really seeing traffic moving too slowly in those upper levels, but this is what's going to be the concern as the morning does progress. Those lower levels are closed off, and that's because we do have some high water that was picked up there a little bit earlier this morning, and we are still seeing that right now. First responders have not opened that area just yet, but again, drivers, keep that in mind when you're heading into the downtown area. As we start off with that wide look at the map, you can see there that thankfully we're not spotting any slowdowns just yet, major slowdowns, but the big problem will be in that area along the north and southbound lanes there at the lower level near Frio Street, where first responders have closed that off due to that high water. So again, this was reported sometime after 4:30 this morning, and we are now seeing the ripple effects as traffic gets moving. Again, we'll look at those alternative routes as the morning does roll on, but again, this is an area you will likely want to avoid. There is another first responder making their way to the area. Hopefully, we'll have some good updates before we wrap GMSA and our friends at TransGuide getting us a closer look at those conditions. And Justin, you can see that water there along the roadways.
Yeah, you sure can. The water came down in buckets earlier. We got some good rain here around San Antonio, and those storms now pushing down closer to the Texas coast. I want to show you a picture that came in on our KSAT Connect. You know, not a lot of hail here around San Antonio. There were a few reports of hail here and there, but for the most part, it was just good heavy rain, and we saw those gusty winds. But look at the lightning here. It looks like daytime. This was nighttime, and the lightning strikes were, well, there was a lot of them as these storms came through. It was very electrical, and that's one of the reasons we're still seeing some of those power outages this morning. We thank you for that picture. Let's look at the radar right now. We notice we've still got some storms down there, as we showed you earlier, down around Choke Canyon. These are moving towards Three Rivers and towards the Beeville area, but that is the last of any sort of thunderstorm activity. Everyone else has cleared out, and we're saying goodbye to the rain. Now, this afternoon, there could be a few more pop-up storms here along the Texas coast, and maybe for some of our southeastern counties, but we do not expect to see any rain here in San Antonio this afternoon. Let's get you a little bit of a recap here. You see the storms that developed in the Hill Country work their way south and east as a line, and we had about 20 plus reports of severe weather. Now, one place that did see some quarter-size hail was Crystal City. Eagle Pass also reporting a little bit of hail there. Some tree branches snapped in places like San Antonio, Carson City, where we saw wind gusts up over 60 miles per hour. In fact, at the airport, we did get a 63-mile-per-hour wind gust as these storms came through. We also saw some strong winds on the backside of these storms. As far as rainfall goes, about half an inch at the airport. Same story, New Braunfels, Seguin. Yeah, these weren't big numbers, not as big as we would have liked to have seen, but these are fast-moving storms, so they came through so quickly they just didn't have the opportunity to put down big numbers. We did see over an inch at Alamo Ranch, 1.23 there, and about half an inch up around Bandera, and some of this did fall in the recharge zone. So it looks like the aquifer should get a good bump as we go into the rest of today and into tomorrow. Right now, we still got cloudy skies, or mostly cloudy skies at the airport. 63 degrees. Dew point is at 61, and a west-southwesterly breeze at about 6. It has dropped into the 50s in places like Kerrville and Fredericksburg. A really nice morning there. 54 Rock Springs. And temperatures may fall a couple more degrees before it's all said and done. And then we eventually make our way into the 80s this afternoon. 61 right now in Helotes. It is down to 59 at Bernie Stage. And as we look at the big picture here, you get a better idea of where these storms are moving. They're through Houston, moving towards the Louisiana area. And then we've got storms out in the Gulf of Mexico. And now places like Brownsville, Harlingen, McAllen seeing some heavy rain this morning as the storms have made it all the way down into deep South Texas. So our forecast does show some isolated showers and storms developing south and east of town throughout the afternoon. But by the evening hours, this is all shifting out. So are the clouds, and we get clear skies tonight and going into tomorrow. And with sunny skies tomorrow, it will be much warmer. Forecast temperatures today by noontime, we're up around 73. With partly cloudy skies, and then some clearing this afternoon gets those temperatures up close to 81 here in San Antonio, 70s in the Hill Country. Extended forecast. We go 90 tomorrow, 94 on Friday, up to 96 on Saturday. Morning lows start to warm up as well. We'll be back in the 70s for morning lows starting Sunday morning. And Memorial Day, if you have plans to be outside, just know it will be hot, and the humidity starts to come back too as we get into early next week.
We'll be prepared.
Thank you, Justin. 621, about 63 degrees.
And a lot more to come on GMSA. The weather was a big story again overnight, and many without power this morning. Right now, we're looking at about over 10,000 customers who are affected at this hour, but we're going to have the very latest.
Have a nice day, Alex. Thanks, Stella. Taking the stairs? That's how you do more with Dupixin, which helps prevent asthma attacks. Dupixin is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma that can improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks. I can reduce or even eliminate oral steroids. And here's something important. Dupixin can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Are you ready to do more with less asthma? Just ask your asthma specialist about Dupixin.
A new day here in Uvalde means another day of pain. Good morning, I'm Katrina Weber. People still coping with the after effects of a gunman's rampage. I'll have that story coming up.
Hundreds of San Antonians showed up yesterday to donate blood in response to that horrific elementary school shooting yesterday in Uvalde. I'm Sarah Acosta. Coming up on GMSA, we take a look at the current blood supply left and what they still need.
And time now is 6:25 and 63 degrees for now.
Storms were a big story overnight. We'll tell you how it is going to possibly affect your morning commute.
It's hard to believe that in such a small town, even something as tragic would hit this community. And, we believe that God's going to see us through this tragic.
We offer hope. There's been many of us that have lost loved ones as well as children. And so we come to offer hope beyond that, but also at the time to really let them know how much we care and that we love them, to be our full support for them in every way.
That we know the need won't stop today. The need will be something that's consistent throughout the many weeks to come. So working alongside the local mental health authorities and others who are from the community, we just want to be there to help.
And good morning. Today we are following the aftermath of the mass shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
That's right. This story making world headlines today as we wake up on a Wednesday, the 25th. Our coverage will continue in just a moment. But first up, we want to get to weather and traffic and some storm-related power outages.
That's right. Here's a look at the CPS map right now. A total of over 8,000 customers affected right now, but this number has gone down from about 20,000 earlier in the newscast.
Let's go to Justin for an update.
Yeah, things have quieted down significantly here around San Antonio. The storms that we were seeing earlier have shifted south and now really starting to push out into the Gulf of Mexico. Just a few leftover rumbles of thunder and some storms down there around Choke Canyon moving towards Three Rivers this morning. But San Antonio, quiet. Still some wet roads, as Stephen will tell you here in just a second. But other than that, temperatures are pretty comfortable. 63 degrees at the airport. We've got some 50s on the map. 58 degrees right now in Kerrville, 54 Rock Springs. You're at 66 down there in Cotulla. 59 Bernie Stage, 65 right now at Canyon Lake. All areas that saw rain last night. And molds were moderate yesterday at 550. You can bet that it will be even higher today with some of that rain around. Grass was low yesterday at 20. And as we look at the forecast for today, we're going to get some clouds early and then things pretty much clear out here. Noontime 73. We're up around 81 this afternoon. Mostly sunny skies. There could be a couple of isolated storms down closer to the Texas coast, but dry conditions here. And it only gets hotter from here. We're expecting temperatures to really jump up by the time we get into the weekend, to mid-90s in the forecast. We'll talk all about that 7-day forecast in just a few minutes, but let's talk with Stephen now because we've had some issues on the roadways because of those earlier rains.
That's right, Justin. Again, the same problem here at 35. The lower level at Laredo is still closed off in both the north and southbound lanes. So right now, let's get a wider look at TransGuide, and you can see virtually more of that traffic is up there in the upper levels of 35. Those lower levels looking like a ghost town out there. So just keep that in mind if you have to drive through the downtown area. We're not seeing a slowdown there because, again, that spot is shut down. But as we bring you to the map and take you into that area, we see that there is a slowdown that's taking place in the north and southbound upper level spots there. Again, that lower level closed near Frio Street. We have been looking at those alternative routes. One that we would suggest if you're traveling in from 35, and keep this in mind, those northbound lanes are looking like about 2 miles where we're seeing that congestion. But that alternative route, try exiting Division Avenue and getting onto Florida Street. You'll likely encounter lots of stoplights, but if you want to avoid that slowdown in the northbound lanes of 35, that may be a better way to go. But as we check those travel times, if you are heading in from 35, we're seeing a 20-minute drive time coming in from Lotto. Now, that's a little bit longer than usual, but thankfully still in the green, not looking too bad, and hopefully we'll see some resolution soon. But for our friends up in Bulverde, keep in mind the usual slowdown, a 28-minute drive time to downtown SA. But here at 35 at lower level at Laredo, we'll hope to have more updates coming up in the next few minutes and hopefully some good progress here. Guys.
Thank you, Stephen. A very difficult morning for many who are waking up in the aftermath of the horrific shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde.
19 students and 2 teachers lost their lives yesterday when a gunman went into the school and started shooting. We're learning more about some of those victims. This 10-year-old Xavier Lopez, a 4th grader at the school who was killed. A family member is telling ABC News that his mother was there for an award ceremony earlier in the day yesterday.
Eva Midella is a 4th grade teacher at the school. Now, according to her bio on the school's employee page, Midella was married to a Uvalde CISD police officer and had 1 daughter.
And Amerie Jo Garza, a 10-year-old just finishing her 4th grade year at Robb Elementary. Her father waited for hours, agonizing hours, for news about her whereabouts, only to learn that she was among the victims. Well, of course, it is a day of mourning in the city of Uvalde. People there and all around the world are still trying to make sense of that deadly school shooting.
21 people, including 19 children, were killed, and Katrina Weber is live where it all happened outside of Robb Elementary School with that story. Katrina, how are people coping?
Well, the word devastated probably doesn't even begin to touch how they are feeling. Last night, some members of the community met for a small prayer vigil, and we understand that they have a larger one scheduled for later tonight. Now, what we do not see anywhere here are the usual flowers and balloons and signs, other mementos that you might see at a site like this. That's because the school is very much an active crime scene, and this whole area is shut off to members of the public. This is in response to what happened yesterday, of course, the shooting rampage that investigators say was committed by an 18-year-old high school student. They say he shot and wounded his grandmother before making his way to Robb Elementary and then shooting students and adults seemingly at random. The latest numbers we have are 19 students and 2 adults dead, along with the gunman. 4 other people still in the hospital. Families, meanwhile, are trying to cope and come to grips with the devastating news.
We can get through this. We stand together and pray. Just stand together, stand strong.
Yeah, Amelia Sandoval lost her 10-year-old grandson, who family identified as Xavier James Lopez. Even through her own grief, she was worried about other people in the community and how they are coping with this. Now we turn to our Lee Waldman for more on that part of the story and exactly what help is coming to people in this community.
It's been an incredibly heartbreaking scene here outside of the Civic Center. Families coming out of those doors throughout this evening, holding on to one another and crying. I want to go ahead and show you some video of how it looked throughout the day here. There were moments of silence broken by shattering screams and sobs. I spoke with 2 fathers who were waiting to hear about their 10-year-old daughters, one named Anne-Marie, the other Annabelle. Both of those dads say the hardest part of this all is the not knowing.
These parents are not here and they have their kid and their kid got out of school. No, if my kid was with me, I'd be at home right now. I'm here because my daughter was involved in the incident and something happened. We don't know her status.
I'm always sick. I'm always sick to my stomach. You know what? I don't want to know nothing bad. You know what? Bad, it should be something bad for me, not my girl.
Now, inside of this building behind us, we're also being told there is DNA swabbing taking place to aid in the identification process. Just another one of those gruesome details we are learning after an incredibly horrific event. We do want to remind the community that at this civic center this morning at 8 a.m., it will open up with grief counselors for teachers and staff who are at Robb Elementary. And at 10 a.m., it will be open again with those grief counselors for the rest of this community. In Uvalde, Lee Waldman, GMSA.
And we know that many people want to help in any way they can, especially those in our San Antonio community. Hundreds of people showed up to the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center to donate yesterday.
Sarah Custis live over there at the Donor Inventory Center at the Blood Center with how people can help out. Sarah?
Good morning, Mark and Steph. And right now we're in the refrigerator where that inventory supply is being held. And this is the O positive blood that is used for those emergency whole blood transfusion situations. And this is what's left after boxes were sent to Uvalde yesterday in response to that horrific elementary school shooting. I'm here with Roger Ruiz with the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. So, Roger, when you hear things like 600 people donated yesterday, 700 appointments are already booked, but then you see these empty shelves. Why are these shelves still empty?
So those donations that were donated yesterday, it takes up to 24 hours before they become available to be used for shipment to hospitals and to be used for a transfusion. So we won't see that inventory in here until later this afternoon.
Okay, but then also when people that want to help out there, oh, well, so many people, they're booked through Saturday. Why are those donations still needed?
Well, you got to remember, there's standing orders from hospitals across San Antonio, across 48 counties that we serve, over 100 hospitals and clinics that we need. Every 4 minutes, one of these units is used in our area. So that's why it's a constant need here in our area to have a healthy blood supply, have a healthy community blood supply to give to hospitals. And that's why it's so important.
And the blood supply has been significantly low over the last 2 years since the pandemic. So to have an emergency situation happen like what happened yesterday, on top of already having a low blood supply, that's why those donations are needed still.
That's correct. We always say don't wait for a tragedy to happen. Make it a point to donate at least 4 times a year. Come into any of our donor rooms. Visit southtexasblood.org and find the nearest location. If you can't donate today, this weekend, we're going to need you later on as well.
Thank you, Roger. And of course, they are booked, and through Saturday, there are some mobile units still available today. You can just head to KSAT.com. You can find the link to the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. And of course, you can also donate through University Hospital. We have all that information right now on KSAT.com. Mark and Stephanie.
Thank you, Sarah. This morning, Pope Francis is reacting to the shooting. He spoke to a crowd in St. Peter's Square. He said he was heartbroken by the news, adding he is praying for everyone involved. And he encouraged everyone to make sure tragedies like this do not happen again.
Back here closer to home, area districts are responding to the tragedy. San Antonio ISD Superintendent Jaime Aquino sent out a statement that says, in part, to the Uvalde Consolidated ISD family, the San Antonio ISD family mourns with you. You are not alone. We too are your family. We stand ready to assist you however you might need us during this time of crisis. Please know our guidance counselors are on alert and ready to counsel students.
Shirt Cibolo Universal City ISD's superintendent also reacting in a letter sent home to parents. Quote, our hearts go out to the Uvalde community and the victims of the terrible event that took place at Robb Elementary and Uvalde CISD. Keeping our students and staff safe in the SDUC ISD is the most important duty that we have.
Well, San Antonio Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Sierra also reacting to the massacre.
He was in Uvalde speaking at Sacred Heart Roman Catholic Church.
This is an examination of conscience. What have not we done to build up humanity?
And Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf speaking about the tragedy, saying in part, quote, it is with profound grief and broken hearts that we learn about the news coming our way. Bexar County is sending personnel and material from the Office of Emergency Management, the Medical Examiner's Office, Sheriff's Office, and University Hospital to support the ongoing operation.
Watching the images of this horrific tragedy unfold could cause secondary trauma for some in our community. One mental health specialist is encouraging parents to limit how much coverage they and their children are exposed to. Mary Beth Fisk with the Ecumenical Center, the CEO.
Re-traumatization for many who've been through either a similar experience or some type of trauma. This can be a very difficult time for them as well, whether it's children or adults. So it's important to also be looking out for your own self-care.
In the wake of this news, remember to listen to your kids and learn about their fears, help reassure them that they are safe, and look for signs of anxiety. These are also signs you should look out for as well. If you want to talk to someone about finding care, you can call the Ecumenical Center. And if you are a trained therapist with trauma support knowledge, your help is needed there too. Just call that same number on your screen.
616-0885. For our viewers in Uvalde, there is an opportunity, obviously, to speak with Greek counselors later this morning. Katrina touched on this earlier in her live report. This is at the De Leon Civic Center, 300 block of Main Street. It's open at 8 a.m. only for teachers and staff from Robb Elementary. Then at 10 a.m., it opens for everyone else included.
And we are continuing to follow this developing story on air and online throughout the day. That includes the latest on the victims, their families, and how you can help them the most. We also have reaction from local leaders and how their school districts around the area are responding to this shooting. It's all online right now on our website at KSAT.com.
Obviously, you're going to look for more coming up on Good Morning America at 7, and we're going to have fresh reaction on GMSA at 9. Right now, 6:43, about 63 degrees.
We'll be right back.
Time now, almost 6:47, and we have some progress here off 35. Those lower levels look like they have finally reopened, so that's great news, especially now that we are in that morning rush hour. But we are still seeing a slowdown in that area. Keep in mind, this had been closed for throughout the entire morning. That is because we saw some high water that was detected in that area. We'll start with that wide look at the map, and you can see, thankfully, this morning rush isn't looking too bad, but we are seeing the usual slowdowns off US 90 and, of course, on Loop 1604 on the northwest side. But the big problem has been right here as we bring it into 35, those north and southbound lanes. Those upper levels have been seeing a lot of traffic, and that's because we saw the lower levels closed off due to that high water near Frio Street. Now, keep in mind, they just reopened, but we are still seeing traffic specifically on the northbound lanes that are backed up almost 3 miles. So for drivers that may be heading in from Lytle, what you could do is just exit a Military Drive, and then if you're traveling on I-35 northbound, that's exit 150B, and then get onto 37 northbound, and you'll avoid all of those slowdowns. But keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. That'll likely pick up, and we probably won't see that slowdown as the morning does progress because these lower levels, thankfully, Justin, have finally reopened.
Good information, Stephen. Thank you so much. And, you know, we didn't get a ton of rain overnight, but it was enough to flood some of those notorious areas that tend to see some high water. And I-35 lower level is one of those. As we look at the radar right now, these showers and storms are beginning to move away, move into the Gulf of Mexico. We're still picking up on some lightning strikes here. Rockport down to Corpus Christi, and a few leftover storms there around Three Rivers and Beeville. But here in San Antonio, it's just some thin clouds. In fact, starting to see a little bit of clearing here in town at this hour. And we're done with the rain today. Now, last night, once these storms came through, not only did we see heavy rain and some lightning and thunder, but we also got some very gusty winds. A gust reported up to 63 miles per hour at the airport, gusted to 48 in New Braunfels, gusted to 58 at Stinson. We had some gusts in the 50s, Pleasanton, and then up to 64 miles per hour in Kennedy. And that was right out ahead of these storms, and then also behind them, we got some gusty winds. Those winds have since calmed down, but it did result in some minor damage, tree limbs, trash cans being blown over, those sort of things. As we look at the time lapse here, you can see those showers and storms come through, and you can see how electrical it was from time to time. These storms brought a lot of lightning with them. 63 degrees at this hour. Dew point is at 61, and we've got a west-southwesterly breeze at about 6 miles per hour. And looking at temperatures, it has cooled down behind this system, too. We've got 50s on the map. Kerrville up to Fredericksburg, 56 in Junction, 62 in Uvalde, 64 right now Pleasanton, and 60s for the most part here around San Antonio, with 50s in the higher elevations as you go north. 58 Comfort, 58 right now in Bandera. As we zoom out and look at the state, there are 40s on the map this morning. It is that chilly in places like Lubbock, Amarillo, and Midland as that cooler air works in behind this front. And we'll see some of that today. Temperatures only make it into the low 80s, which is below average. It's going to be one of the few days this month, I think, where we were below average. It'll feel pretty nice this afternoon. 75 Waco, 73 in Abilene today. There could be 60s for highs up in the Texas Panhandle, but it only lasts one day because the heat returns starting tomorrow, and by the weekend, we're right back where we were when we started May with some above average hot temperatures. Forecast for today. 9 a.m., 66 degrees. We should be around 70 by 11 o'clock, noontime 73. Those clouds thin out. We'll get mostly sunny skies by the afternoon, 81 by 5 o'clock in those northeasterly winds, anywhere from 5 to 10 miles per hour. There could be a few showers and storms a little closer to the coast this afternoon. There's still going to be some leftover energy, so we'll watch for that, but I don't think we see it here in San Antonio. 90 tomorrow, sunny skies, 94 on Friday and sunny, and there are those hot temperatures I mentioned over the weekend. 96 Saturday, 97 on Sunday, and Memorial Day if you have plans. 95, it's going to be quiet. It'll be hot. We'll start to see some humidity returning too by early next week. And those overnight lows also moderate from the 60s into the 70s by the weekend.
Thank you, Justin. Time now 6:50 and 63 degrees for now.
We're going to continue our coverage in Uvalde throughout the day. Max Massey will join us live at 9 a.m. And of course, you can get the latest information online on the KSAT app.
A quick look outside with a live cam. We are at 63 degrees. No rain in this shot with a heavy storms move through overnight. We'll be right back.
6:54, a reminder for our viewers in Uvalde. There's an opportunity to speak with grief counselors this morning. It's at the Willie De Leon Civic Center at 300 Main Street. Open at 8 a.m. for teachers and staff from Robb Elementary. Then at 10 a.m. it opens for everyone else.
And we continue to follow this developing story on air and online throughout the day. That includes the latest on the victims, their families, and how you can help them the most. We also have reaction from local leaders and how other school districts around the area are responding to this shooting. It's all online at KSAT.com.
Just about 5 till, and it looks like the roads continue to dry out, Stephen. That's good news.
Yes, thankfully we're not seeing any issues here as we approach that morning rush hour. You can see their traffic is picking up now. There at 35 at lower level at Laredo had been the main problem spot throughout GMSA, but you can see now traffic is moving. People are up and getting out on the roadways, but thankfully we're not seeing a lot of wet roads. However, we are picking up some slowdowns and a crash also here off of I-35 northbound at O'Connor Road where we do have a slight buildup there. We'll have to watch that closely throughout the morning, and we also see a stall and still a slowdown in the northbound lanes of I-35 near Malone Avenue. Keep in mind, drivers 24 minutes coming in from Lytle and about 28 minutes coming in from 281 southbound and Bulverde. But thankfully elsewhere, no need to rush out the door. The roads are a little wet still, but thankfully we're not seeing major slowdowns as we take one last drive around town. We'll be watching the roads closely. Let's check in with Justin Horn.
Stephen, thank you. The rain has cleared out, and as we look at the forecast today, there still could be a few pop-up showers a little closer to the coast as we get towards the afternoon, but notice San Antonio basically mostly sunny. The rain stays south and east of us, and by tonight everything clears out and we'll see some pretty comfortable temperatures overnight tonight into tomorrow morning before things really warm up. Forecast for today, we're in the 60s right now. We make it into the low 70s by noontime, 81 your forecast high with mostly sunny skies during the afternoon. We start off at 59 tomorrow morning, but back in the 90s starting tomorrow and into the weekend, guys.
Thank you, Justin.
Well, more coverage on the Uvalde school shooting coming up next on Good Morning America.
And we'll see you back here at 9.